Hello, folks. Welcome to the Crime Dawg podcast. I'm your host, Johnny FIORICA, retired detective with the Rochester, New York Police Department after serving 30 years. I'm joined by my trusted co-host, David Simpson, also retired detective with the Rochester, New York Police Department. Folks, we sit before you today with a ton of experience and a wealth of knowledge, but if you want to research what David and I did, you could check out our bios on our YouTube channel and our website at thecrimedawgpodcast.com. That's thecrimedawgpodcast.com. And while you're at that website, you could check out our cool merch store. David, welcome to the podcast, my brother.
I'm happy to be here. A little bit of breaking news, Johnny.
Yeah, it is breaking news. It's kind of disturbing, and it's something that, you and I do not do breaking news, and that's actually calculated on our end. We are detectives by trade. We don't jump into the water head first, ever. Everything that we do is calculated. We research. We try to grab a basis of knowledge before we comment on it because we don't want to be left in the cold later on. Unlike some of the news media outlets that are out there, they dive head first, and a lot of times when you do that, you're wrong. I am apprehensive, David. I'm not going to lie to you to do this pod. This is something that we've never done before. We usually do, like I said, what we've done our whole careers. We do a full-scale deep dive into the investigation, figure out what the hell is happening. You and I talked this morning at length, and we were like, we probably should at least skim the surface on the information that we receive. Folks, prior to telling you about what we got for you today, we have anonymous sourcing. Multiple anonymous sources reached out to the podcast because they know that we shoot it down the middle. And that's a testament to what we have created, to what David and I have created. It's a testament to what we stand for. And when we say we shoot it down the middle, sometimes we in the law enforcement community, and I say community because the community doesn't always necessarily mean cops, like cops with guns that are running through your backyards to chase a bad guy with a gun. Sometimes law enforcement community is corrections officers also, in the New York State prison system, for example, of what we're going to talk about today. So if what we're going to talk about today is the truth, it is very disturbing, and we're hoping that it's not, but the information that we're receiving, it is. And we promised we'd shoot it down the middle, and this is the type of thing in this incident that we're going to try to shoot it down the middle for you right now. David, we received information, multiple anonymous sources, like we said, that there was a story that's going around regarding the in-custody death of an inmate named Robert Brooks. Robert Brooks was sent to prison, and he was an inmate at the Marcy Correctional Facility after being arrested, from what we understand, in Monroe County, our county that we live in. He was sentenced to state prison. For those that don't know, Marcy Correctional Facility is a prison. It's in between Utica, New York and Rome, New York. It's a medium security men's prison. The information that's being released and kind of just scratching the surface with local news media outlets, the AG's office opened up an investigation on this case. It's an in-custody death. The preliminary info that we received, the correctional officers did use force on Brooks. He died the day after the incident. Now, this is where it gets kind of hairy for us, David, and we got to be very careful on how we frame this because, like I said, this came from multiple sources anonymously, but we kind of put the sources all together and we kind of came up with the same thing. The correction officers have been placed on administrative leave. Now, when an officer in the law enforcement community is placed on administrative leave, that is procedural. That's always done. There's no need to jump to innocence or guilt right away. This is a big however. However, in this instance, and I'm going to say it again, the anonymous information that we received on this incident, it is a little unnerving. David, what our multiple sources were telling us that we were advised that there is body-worn camera and also possibly prison surveillance cameras of the encounter that the correction officers had with Brooks at the time of his death. And this is what we're hesitant to talk about. This information that we received, and we're not sure if it is true. We hope it's not, because if it is bad. It's our understanding that the video shows it depicts Brooks being beaten by the correction officers while he was handcuffed.
Big no-no. That's the one rule of thumb that you learn right away that just never can fly. Once the handcuffs are on, it's over. Anytime you hit, bump, dump, punch, kick someone that can't even protect themselves, that's crossing the line, and we wouldn't be down the middle guys like we say we are, and we would lose all credibility if we got this information from what we deem to be credible sources, and we didn't speak on it. So this is something that we have to do. If we dodged it, then to me and to you after discussions, it would be, we're not authentic, and the information is this individual was handcuffed and that he was beaten, which appears to have caused him to die the day after. That's the information we got, and supposedly there's video that depicts this. We'll have to see the investigation play out, but that is the information that we received.
Yeah, I mean, from the beginning of our podcast, our tagline is finally common sense has arrived. We've constantly used the phrase shoot it down the middle. Shooting it down the middle in law enforcement, we believe it to be, and what we have said it was, and what we mean by its definition for us specifically is that whether it's cops specifically, but really anybody in our law enforcement community, whether they are right or whether they're wrong, we're going to kind of shoot it down the middle. We're going to give you our take on it. Sometimes, and we have done this in previous episodes where we felt that the cops were not right, and we told you they weren't right. Like, for example, the Louisville incident during the PGA with Scotty Scheffler. We said where they were right. The Dale Street traffic stop that the RPD had conducted earlier this year. At the end of the day, we say shoot it down the middle, because if we can't shoot it down the middle and be honest with our audience, then our credibility is gone. If our audience, like you were saying in the beginning, David, had known that we received this information, did not want to report on it, it would look like we were hiding something from our audience. But like I said, when I called you today, we both agreed that we would gingerly walk through this minefield because we were unsure. We're still unsure as to what happened specifically, but like we said, from our multiple sources that are anonymous and from the info that they're consistently sending us, if there is video, if there is video, and Mr. Brooks is handcuffed, that's no bueno. It's not good for correctional officers. It's not good for law enforcement. It's not good for the community because, in lieu of 2020, I don't know what the public outcry will be if these things are made public. It does concern me.
I've been saying it a while, like police work's not pretty, and there's times where you have to fight, and you fight a guy, and when you get him in handcuffs, though, it's over. And that's the way it is, and that's the way it should be, and that's the way it's always been if you're doing it the right way. So my big thing is, if a guy's handcuffed and can't defend himself, and he's getting hit or punched or kicked in any manner, you are possibly breaking the law, and if someone dies from that, get a lawyer. That is going to come out, and that's a big no-no. Now, this guy was in for an assault. He was, I think, halfway through his time on a 12-year sentence. Not the greatest member of the community. However, he still does not need to be beaten in handcuffs, no matter what he really did. Now, if you get in a fight with him in jail as a correction officer and you whoop his ass, that good for you. But if he's handcuffed and he's taken on not only one but multiple guys, that's a problem.
Yeah, and that's why we're apprehensive, because we don't know exactly the situation that surrounded these events where if it's true, if the big disclaimer, if it's true that they physically hurt Brooks while he was handcuffed. That's a big if, but this is what our sources are saying that it did happen. There have been incidents, David. There have been incidents, and I'm not just trying to defend the correctional officers here, but there have been incidents where handcuffed prisoners have done things like gotten a hold of a gun and have gotten a hold and put certain officers in situations where striking a handcuffed person was justified. I don't know these circumstances surrounding Brooks's incident, but if the information that is circulating amongst our law enforcement community is accurate, then I do, like I say, have some grave concerns relative to how it's going to affect not only the prison system in New York State, Marcy's Correctional Facility specifically, and the community that it surrounds.
I agree. I have to see how it plays out, but it doesn't sound good on the surface, that's for sure.
It definitely doesn't sound good on the surface. Folks, if you enjoyed this podcast, you can click like and subscribe right on this channel that we're on. That's the Crime Dawg Podcast, at Crime Dawg Podcast on the YouTube channel. If you can't get enough of David and I, you could check us out on live radio every Saturday, noon to 1 p.m. We're on iHeartRadio. We have a show. Yes, they gave us a show. We don't know why either, but they gave us one. That's every Saturday, noon to 1. It's a live show. We take live calls. It's called the Crime Dawg Live Show. We appreciate you if you could tune in for that. Thank you for listening to the Crime Dawg Podcast. We hope that you tune in for future episodes. But like my brother-in-law, Frankie Grassi says, if you can't make it, who cares?